She thought marrying a rich man meant her struggles were over, but that mansion held storms no one warned her about. When Nia first met Graham, he smiled like the world was already his. And maybe it was. Blue-eyed, born into a legacy of silk, stock options, and silver forks, Graham Hadley Whitmore III was everything her Alabama-raised mama warned her. "'Bout," but he listened. He listened when she spoke, and not just to the melody of her voice, but to the fight behind her eyes, that quiet resilience carved into every word. He said he loved her skin, called it midnight gold, said it made the stars jealous. So when he proposed, knee down in Paris, ring heavy with guilt and glory, she said yes. Nia didn't come from wealth. She came from women who stitched church dresses on Friday night and wore 'em like royalty Sunday morning. She came from heat, hollers, and hope. So she walked into the Hadley Whitmore estate with her spine straight and her soul steady. But his mother? Oh, baby. Madeline Whitmore wore pearls like armor and smiled like she was doing you a favor. She kissed Nia on both cheeks that first day and whispered, "So you're the one he's been raving about." The pause between them words, sharper than broken glass. At first, Nia thought she was imagining it. The way Madeline's eyes lingered too long. The way her compliments always came with a twist. "That dress is bold on your skin tone. So brave. You have such strong features. She must be very driven. I mean, Graham always did love passion." They said Madeline chaired a dozen charities, gave speeches on inclusion, had black friends, so she claimed. But sometimes silence is a louder answer than words. When the invitation arrived, on cream-colored cardstock with gold foil, Nia knew. It wasn't an invite. It was a warning. Hadley Whitmore Ladies Brunch, Elm Rose Country Club, garden attire, 11 a.m. sharp. Graham was thrilled. "She wants you there, babe. That's huge." But Nia felt it, that ache deep down, the kind her grandma called discernment. Still, she went, pressed her hair into soft curls, wore the sunflower yellow dress that kissed her dark skin just right, stepped into heels and told her reflection, "You belong." But the moment she walked into that country club, heads turned like she'd brought fire to the garden, whispers, too quick to catch, smiles, tight, clipped, sugar-dipped in salt. And there, at the head of the table, Madeline. "Darling, you made it. I was just telling the girls. Graham's fiancé has such an interesting background." Nia froze, smiled, sat, her hands folded, but her spirit? Already bleeding. The clink of mimosas, the soft jazz playing, the scent of lavender in hidden war. By the second course, Madeline turned to her with glassy eyes and asked, "So, Nia dear, when did you realize you were in love with my son's bank account?" The table went silent. Nia blinked once, twice, felt the heat rise up her neck, but she smiled, soft, lethal, and said, "Your son was broke when I met him, but thank you for asking." "Ooh, child." Even the wind paused. You could have heard a fork drop in that manicured garden. Madeline laughed, one of those tight, breathy things that never reached her eyes, the kind of laugh rich women use when they've been outplayed in public. But her eyes, those ice-blue daggers never left Nia's face. "Well," Madeline said, adjusting her pearls, "isn't she clever?" The rest of the brunch carried on like nothing happened. Smiles resumed, tea poured, but the temperature dropped, and Nia knew right then this wasn't no brunch. It was a battlefield, and she had just drawn blood. Graham was furious when she told him what happened. "She what? She said that? I'm calling her right now?" But Nia stopped him. "No, let her think I'm beneath her. That's when they get sloppy." She learned that from her mama. People who hide behind manners don't expect you to see through 'em. Nia didn't cry that night. She didn't scream. She just stared at the ceiling in that big empty guest room of the estate. Thought about her childhood, when her teacher asked her why her palms were light, but her face so dark. About her first job, where customers handed her their dirty plates like she was invisible. It always started the same, people smiling in her face, but trying to put her back in the box they made for girls like her. But Nia wasn't made for boxes. She was made for breaking them. Weeks passed. Wedding plans moved forward. But something was shifting. She caught Madeline watching her when she thought no one was looking, heard whispers behind doors that fell silent when she passed. One morning the maid, sweet old Delilah, left something on Nia's vanity, a folded piece of paper. No name, no explanation, just 6 words. Don't trust the one beside you. Nia's hands shook, and when she looked up, she saw Graham standing behind her, silent, watching her in the mirror. And that smile he gave her, it wasn't the same. Sometimes the loudest betrayals don't come with noise, just a look, a pause, and a frame on the wall that ain't meant for you. 3 days after that country club ambush, Nia wandered into the drawing room. She wasn't looking for anything, but that house had a way of whispering to her. Old money sat heavy in every corner, velvet chairs no one ever sat in, books no one read, fireplace that ain't been lit since Clinton was president. But above that cold marble mantel, a portrait, large, hand-painted, regal. It showed the Hadley Whitmore women through the generations, gold frames, ivory skin, silk gowns, and in the center, a space where the artist had left canvas bare. No paint, no smile, just a void. Delilah came in behind her, slow, quiet, eyes on the portrait like it hurt. That spot, she said soft, was saved for Graham's wife, been empty since he turned 21. Nia stared at it, that white space, that absence. Madeline asked the painter to leave it open, said no woman was worthy enough yet. Nia felt something tighten in her chest, but she didn't cry. She just nodded and whispered, I guess we'll see if I still get painted in. That night at dinner, the table stretched too long. 10 chairs, 2 people. Nia at one end, Graham at the other. He barely looked at her, kept checking his phone. You all right? She asked. He mumbled. But his tone had changed, his touch too, like she was starting to embarrass him. He used to love her fire. Now it made him flinch. Later that week, Nia overheard a phone call. She didn't mean to eavesdrop, but sometimes the truth don't wait for permission. Graham on the phone in the library, voice tight, low. I know, Mother, but she's not like what you think. She's different. Then silence. Then, no, I haven't told her about the trust fund, or the prenup, or the vote. Vote? What vote? She backed away before he saw her, heart pounding, questions rising like smoke in a locked room. And the next morning, that empty space in the portrait was gone, painted overnight. Another woman in the frame, blonde, smiling, wearing the Hadley Whitmore pearls, not her. Some betrayals don't shout. They hang on the wall like a warning. Nia stared at that portrait like it slapped her. The woman in the painting wasn't real, but she looked like every other Whitmore wife before her. Light-skinned, laced. Everything Madeline thought was proper. She touched the frame, her fingers trembling. Delilah came in behind her again, eyes wide. They finished it late last night. Madeline brought in the painter herself. Nia's voice cracked. Why didn't she just say it? I don't belong. Delilah put a hand on her shoulder. Baby, she don't have to say it. That whole house speaks for her. Later at lunch, Madeline offered her a scone. Smile like poison wrapped in lace. I made sure the painter finished the piece. We couldn't just leave it undone now, could we? Nia didn't answer. She just sipped her tea and stared. Quiet rage boiling under calm waters. That night she went to Graham. Who voted? She asked. He blinked. What? I heard you. On the phone. You said vote. About me. Graham sighed. It's a family trust, Nia. The board has to vote on any marriage that could affect the inheritance. She stepped back like he'd slapped her. You mean they're voting if I'm worthy enough? He rubbed his face. It's not personal. It's just protocol. They'll approve you, I'm sure. We just have to show them you're not after the money. And there it was, the mask, fallen. You think I'm after your money too, she whispered. He didn't answer. Didn't need to. Some silences cut deeper than words ever could. She left the room without looking back. That night she lay awake, hand on her belly. Yes, her belly. Because 2 days ago, she had taken a test, and the line was faint but clear. She was pregnant, and she hadn't told a soul. But the baby growing inside her was the one thing they could never vote on. She whispered into the night, You go know me by what I leave behind. But first, they gon' feel what I carry. Some houses got more than ghosts. They hold secrets behind walls that were never meant to be opened. 2 days after the portrait changed, Nia packed a bag. She told herself it was just in case. But deep down, she was preparing for war. The estate was too quiet. Even the maids moved like they were being watched. Graham tried to kiss her one morning. She turned her cheek. His touch didn't feel like love anymore. Felt like distraction, like guilt. Madeline, though, wore victory in her eyes. She smiled more, spoke softer, even offered to take Nia shopping. "You'll need to look the part for the engagement dinner," she said. "Everyone important will be there." "Everyone important," Nia repeated like a bitter cherry on her tongue. But she went. She put on the white silk blouse Madeline picked. Let her pretend. They walked through a boutique in Buckhead. Polished, pale, pretentious. The saleswoman looked at Nia, then at Madeline. Said, "Is this your assistant?" Madeline didn't correct her, just smiled. Nia didn't say a word. She was learning. Silence can be a scalpel. That night, Nia couldn't sleep. She wandered the east wing, past the heavy curtains, past the study, past the room no one used. She stopped in front of the tall mirror at the hallway's end. It felt off. She tapped it. Hollow. She ran her hand along the edges and clicked. The mirror gave way. A door. Behind it, dust and cold. A narrow staircase. She grabbed a flashlight and descended. At the bottom, a room. No lights. Just old boxes, moth-bitten drapes, and the smell of forgotten time. But in the corner, a trunk. Inside it, letters, photos, and a diary, bound in cracked leather. She opened it. The handwriting was sharp, precise. July 2nd, 1971. I told Madeline I was keeping the baby. She said a Whitmore bloodline couldn't be tainted like this. Nia froze. She flipped the page. July 15th. She paid him to leave. I begged him to stay. He kissed my stomach and said, "Our child deserves better than this house." A tear dropped on the paper, because the woman who wrote this was named Eloise Walker, and her photo, deep brown skin, tight afro, soft smile, looked just like Nia. Too much like Nia. Sometimes the truth ain't buried in the ground. It's buried in shame, in rooms people hope no one ever finds. Nia sat in that cold room for hours. Eloise Walker. She'd never heard that name before, but she felt her in the bones of the house, in the chill that always ran through the halls, in Madeline's eyes when she looked at Nia like a bad memory. Eloise had loved a Whitmore man, and Madeline had erased her. She read more of the diary. "They made me sign papers, said I'd be taken care of, but all I wanted was my child to be accepted. I wrote to him. Every week. The letters came back unopened. I won't be here much longer. I'm tired. I hope my baby, wherever they are, knows I love them. Even when I was told I shouldn't." Nia held the diary to her chest and cried. Not just for Eloise, but for herself, for the child growing inside her, a new life, born from a legacy of lies, but destined for more. She took the diary upstairs, confronted Graham in his study. "I found something," she said, her voice steady. He looked up, saw the diary, went pale. "Nia, do you know who Eloise Walker is?" He paused. I've heard the name. She worked here, years ago. She loved someone, in this family, got pregnant, and Madeline made her disappear." Graham swallowed hard. "My grandfather. It was him. She told the family she lost the baby. They paid her off. We were never supposed to speak of it. She was black." He nodded. "She was my grandmother." Nia stepped back like the room was on fire. "You knew? I found out last year. But Mother said, she said it would ruin the family's standing." Ruin. That word echoed. Because to them blackness wasn't a legacy. It was a threat. Nia stared at him. "I'm pregnant." He blinked. The silence was deafening. "Say something," she whispered. He opened his mouth, but the door behind her opened first. Madeline, frozen, eyes wide, and in her hand, the same photo of Eloise, crushed, wrinkled, like a past she tried to bury. You can scrub a house till it shine like gold. But some stains don't lift, some sins just settle deeper in the wood. Madeline stood in that doorway like Judgment Day had come early. Her lips parted, but no words came. Nia stared her down, diary clutched in one hand, her other resting soft but firm over her belly. "You lied," Nia said. Not just to Graham, to this whole family. You buried Eloise like she was dirt. Madeline's voice cracked. She wasn't supposed to stay. She was a mistake. Nia stepped closer. I ain't her, but I carry what she couldn't. You hear me? Graham tried to intervene. Nia, please, let's just talk about this like... No, she cut in. We ain't sweeping this under no Persian rug. Madeline's hands trembled. She was going to destroy everything. Your grandfather was engaged at the time. We had to protect the family's reputation. Nia's laugh was hollow. Reputation? Y'all built it on broken women. She held up the diary. These pages are soaked in pain. She died believing her child was unwanted, forgotten. You did that. Madeline's eyes glazed over, but she didn't cry. Do you know what it's like to watch your son throw away generations of legacy, to bring home a woman who what? Nia's voice rose, hot and sharp. Say it. Dark-skinned? From a working-class family? Black? That what you mean, Madeline? The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was screaming. Graham stood frozen, eyes flickering between the two women. His voice, a whisper. Mom, tell me she's lying. But Madeline didn't speak. She turned, walked out the door, and closed it gently behind her. Later that night, Nia stood alone in the garden, wind brushing against her skin like a prayer. She held the ultrasound photo in her hand, tears on her cheek. Not of sorrow, of promise. This baby, she whispered. Go know their whole name, their whole truth. I ain't letting you erase nothing. From behind the hedge, a voice spoke. You sound like her. Delilah, eyes wise, hands clasped like she was holding a secret. I was a teenager when Eloise worked here. She used to hum when she folded napkins, always humming spirituals like her heart knew freedom, even if her feet didn't. Nia turned. She loved him, didn't she? Delilah nodded. And he loved her. But love ain't always enough, not in houses like this. This place don't just swallow women. It digests them slow. Nia closed her eyes. Not me. No, baby. Delilah smiled, voice thick with knowing. Not you. Some papers are just ink and lies. But some, they hold power. Especially the ones they never want you to read. The next day, Nia went back to the hidden room behind the mirror. This time she searched deeper. At the bottom of a drawer, buried beneath velvet scraps and faded menus from charity galas, she found a file, labeled Hadley Trust, Marital Clause, Revision, Confidential. She opened it, and what she saw nearly took the breath from her chest. Clause 7B. In the event Graham Hadley Whitmore III marries without board approval, all rights to inheritance, assets, and real estate shall be withheld pending family vote and maternal oversight. Maternal. Madeline. She had control over everything. And in that folder, a second document, signed, recently, prenup agreement, pending Nia Walker's signature. No mention of love, no mention of partnership, only lines like, Party A shall not seek claim to future trust holdings. No entitlement to Whitmore estate or heirs' benefits. It was a contract made for someone they expected to leave, and they expected her to sign it. She dropped the folder like it was burning her, and that's when she heard it. Footsteps. She turned. Madeline. Eyes sharp, voice like velvet over steel. I see you found it. Nia rose slow. You was gonna trap me. In a marriage. In silence. Just like Eloise. Madeline stepped forward. You don't belong here. You never did. And now you've cursed my family again. Nia's hands curled into fists, but her voice was soft, deadly. You can curse a storm all you want, but that don't stop the rain. Madeline's lip quivered. You think a baby will change anything? And Nia, head high, replied, No, but it gon' change me. All right then, sugar. Aunt Grace is right here. The wind done shifted now. And what Nia's bout to uncover, it ain't just a betrayal. It's blood deep. Some truths don't whisper. They wait. Until the moment they can scream through the silence. When Nia stepped out that secret room, her heart was still thundering, but she moved like a woman who had finally seen the map. Delilah met her at the hallway with wide eyes. You all right, baby? Nia nodded, but the strength in her was swelling now, like a tide you can't hold back. Delilah, she said, I need something. A favor. Delilah didn't ask why, just listened. "I need something of Eloise's," Nia whispered. "A hair strand. Anything. I want to know if she's my blood too." Delilah blinked. "You think?" "I feel it. In my skin. In my soul. That woman ain't just a story in this house. She's in me." Delilah disappeared and returned hours later. A small envelope. Inside, a curl of dark hair, wrapped in tissue, sealed for decades. Found it in her old brush. I couldn't throw it away. Nia clutched it like it was gold. She sent it off for testing that night. No one knew, not even Graham. Because trust? That was gone now. Days passed like thunderclouds. Heavy, crackling. Madeline avoided her. Graham tried to pretend nothing had changed. But Nia knew something big was coming. The envelope arrived a week later, unmarked. She tore it open with shaking hands. Paternity confirmed. Eloise Walker was her grandmother. And the Whitmores, they weren't just Graham's family. They were hers too. The same people trying to erase her had stolen her whole bloodline. She fell to her knees, not from grief, from clarity. "This house," she whispered, "owe me more than money. It owe me truth. Some doors are locked with more than keys. They locked with shame and fear of what might come tumbling out." The next morning, Nia didn't knock. She stormed into Madeline's sitting room, sunlight pouring through tall windows like judgment itself. Madeline turned, startled. "What is the meaning of, 'You tried to erase her'? But she lives in me." She tossed the DNA letter onto Madeline's lap. "Eloise was my grandmother." Madeline's face collapsed like glass under weight. "No, that's not possible." "Oh, it's possible. And real. And now I understand why you hate me so much." She stepped closer. "Because I'm the face of the truth you buried. I'm the granddaughter of the woman you shamed. And this child inside me, they're the future you thought you could control." Madeline looked like all the air had been sucked out the room. "I did what I had to," she whispered. "No," Nia snapped. "You did what you were allowed to, by a world that let you strip women of dignity because they were too dark, too poor, too other." The door creaked. Graham stepped in. He had heard all of it. "Nia," his voice was fragile, but she wasn't done. "I'm done asking to belong. You tried to write me out of this legacy, but turns out I am the legacy." She walked past them both, down the hall, to the door at the end of the east wing, the one that had always been locked. She picked the key from the diary's ribbon, slid it in, turned. It creaked open. Inside, a room covered in dust, but untouched. Baby clothes in a drawer, a yellowed onesie with "Love E.W." stitched on the collar, a bassinet, and on the wall, a photo. Eloise, smiling, holding a baby wrapped in blue. Tears streamed down Nia's face, because that baby had her eyes. Sometimes the truth don't walk in loud. It just knocks, soft, steady, like justice finally finding its way home. Nia opened the nursery door slow. Delilah stood there, eyes wet, hands clutching an envelope. "You need to see this," she said, voice low. Nia took it, opened it with careful hands. Inside, a letter, old, edges curled with time, but the name was fresh like it had been written yesterday. To Eloise, the handwriting was familiar, too familiar. She read it, lips trembling. "I begged them to let me see you. I didn't leave because I didn't care. I left because they took everything. I didn't have the strength to fight them, Eloise. I failed you. If our child ever finds this, tell them I loved them. I never stopped, not one day." Signed, Lawrence Whitmore, Graham's grandfather. Delilah whispered, "I found it hidden behind the piano leg, tucked where no one would ever find it, unless they was cleaning like me." Nia's knees buckled. She sank to the floor. She wasn't just carrying a child. She was carrying the weight of generations denied. This was more than betrayal. It was theft, of legacy, of identity, of love. She looked around the nursery again. Everything untouched, like time had been frozen, waiting for her to thaw it. She stood, held the letter to her chest, and whispered, "I see you now, Eloise, and I won't let them silence us again." That evening she went to Graham, put the diary, the DNA letter, and the hidden note on the table. "I'm giving you a chance to do the right thing." He stared, swallowed hard. "Nia, I didn't know. About the room, about that letter. But now you do," she said. "And if you choose silence now, then you are them." He looked at her, eyes filled with something she hadn't seen in weeks. Fear, shame, maybe even regret. "I'll call the board," he said. She didn't smile, because that was just the start. Some tables don't need flowers. They need fire. And this time, Nia brought both. The Hadley Whitmore Foundation's annual gala brunch, a garden party so pristine, it made porcelain look cheap. Every year, the elite came dressed like forgiveness, but wore judgment in their eyes. This year, Nia came too, but she didn't come quiet. She wore emerald green, deep, rich, regal, the kind of green that makes dark skin shine like mahogany under moonlight. Hair in a soft crown of curls, stomach gently rounded. Power never looked so peaceful. The murmurs started the moment she stepped in. "There she go. That's her. Did you hear?" Madeline sat at the head of the long table surrounded by pearls and false laughter. She stiffened when Nia approached, but Nia smiled, sweet, sharp. "Don't get up. I ain't staying long." Gasps, whispers. Graham stood to speak, but she lifted a hand. "I got this." She pulled a single folded paper from her purse, laid it on the table. A letter from Lawrence Whitmore to Eloise Walker, hidden, buried, just like she was. Eyes widened, voices stilled. "And here," she said, pulling the DNA letter, "proof that I am her granddaughter. The child y'all tried to erase didn't vanish." She laid her palm on her belly. "She's still here." Silence. All those manicured hands froze. All those eyes dropped, except Madeline's. "You think you can blackmail this family?" she hissed. Nia smiled. "Not blackmail. Belonging." She stepped back. "I don't want your money. I am the inheritance. I carry it in my blood, in my spine, in this child." She turned to leave, but paused at Madeline's chair, leaned in close. "You said I was after his money. But baby, I already had something richer." "What?" Madeline spat. "Roots." And with that she walked out, leaving a table full of stunned silence, and one portrait in the mansion trembling on its wall. Sometimes the richest things in life ain't silver or stock. It's truth. And when that truth is put in writing, it can burn down a legacy or rebuild one. Nia didn't sleep that night. She sat in the nursery, Eloise's room, with the lamp glowing soft, staring at the diary, running her fingers across each worn page. She could almost feel Eloise's hands there too. The past week had cracked everything open. But this? "The will is changing." Madeline's words rang through her like a siren. Was it a threat? A warning? Or a confession? The next morning a courier arrived. Slim envelope. No return address. Just a wax seal. Nia opened it slow. Inside, a letter from Robert Whitmore, Graham's uncle, the executor of the Hadley Trust. To Ms. Nia Walker, after recent developments, including confirmed DNA analysis and the surfacing of Lawrence Whitmore's personal correspondence, there will be an emergency board convening this Friday. Your presence is requested. She stared at it for a long time, then folded it carefully. It wasn't just a meeting. It was a trial. That Friday, Nia walked into the Whitmore Estate boardroom. A long mahogany table, 10 white faces, old money in tailored suits. Graham sat at her side, stiff, silent. Madeline at the head of the table, flawless in navy blue, cold as stone. Robert cleared his throat. "We've reviewed the evidence submitted by Ms. Walker, including genealogical verification and testimony from house staff, namely Mrs. Delilah Kane." Delilah sat in the corner, back straight, eyes full of fire. "We also now possess a document from Lawrence Whitmore's personal belongings, expressing explicit knowledge and intent toward a relationship with Eloise Walker." A rustle went around the table, a cough, a muttered, "Unbelievable." But Robert wasn't done. "We will now vote to determine if Ms. Walker shall be retroactively acknowledged as a direct descendant of the Hadley Whitmore bloodline, and if her child is to be named as eligible heir under Clause 8 of the 1974 estate provision." Madeline stood, face tight, voice clipped. "This is a disgrace. It opens us up to claims from every mistake my father made. Every woman with a story and a strand of hair." Nia rose, slow, steady. "I ain't here with a story. I'm here with proof. And whether or not y'all recognize it, this blood already lives in your house, in your son, in my womb." Her voice softened. "You can vote how you want, But you ain't voting on my worth, just your own integrity." Then she sat. The room was silent. Robert called the vote. One by one, hands rose. Yes, yes, yes. Then Madeline. "No." Graham's voice cracked. "Yes." It passed. Nia closed her eyes. Not in relief, in resolution. That night she stood before the mansion's fireplace, the same one under the family portrait. She stared up at it and whispered, "I don't want my picture there." Delilah walked up behind her. "You sure, baby? You earned that place." Nia turned, smile soft. "I ain't looking to fit in no frame. I'm building my own wall. Poetic justice don't always come loud. Sometimes it hangs quiet, golden, and unmovable, like dignity returned to its rightful place." The nursery had changed. The air felt lighter, the silence softer. Eloise's photo now stood on the shelf beside Nia's ultrasound. 2 generations, one story no longer hidden. The next morning, Madeline called for Nia. She didn't say please, didn't say sorry, just, "Come." Nia went. The older woman stood in the study, eyes fixed on a box in her hands. "This belonged to Lawrence," she said. "Letters, old tapes, a few of Eloise's things." She handed the box over like it weighed the world. "I won't apologize. I don't believe in rewriting my past. But I see now. It won't stay buried." Nia nodded. "That's the thing about truth. It got roots." Madeline looked at her. Really looked. "You could destroy this family, you know, with what you have." "I'm not here to destroy," Nia said. "I'm here to plant something better." Madeline didn't smile. But she didn't stop her either. That afternoon, Nia hosted a garden brunch, same place where she was humiliated weeks ago. But this time, she set the table. Dark women in brilliant colors, laughter real and rising, food seasoned with soul and pride. Even Robert showed up. Graham brought a guest list, but Nia didn't care for titles anymore. At the center table sat Delilah. Beside her, a newly framed portrait of Eloise. Nia took the mic. "Y'all, I just want to say, some of us weren't given a seat at the table, so we built one out of the scraps they threw away." Cheers, claps. But then, one last moment. Madeline, arriving late, holding something wrapped in velvet. She walked up to the mantel. The family portrait still hung high, but in her hand, a small golden frame. She opened the velvet and placed Eloise's photo inside, right next to it. Didn't say a word, just walked away. And this time, the frame didn't tilt. It hung perfectly straight. They said she didn't belong in that house, but now her portrait hangs in the golden frame above the fireplace. And more than that, her name. It's carved into the foundation. A month had passed. The sun hung lower in the sky, soft like an old hymn. And Nia, she walked different now. Not faster, not louder, just fuller. She no longer flinched when stepping into that marble foyer. No longer held her breath when passing the portraits. Because now, the house had made space. And more importantly, she had claimed it. The baby was coming soon. Kicking strong, reminding her daily, this ain't just about survival. It's about legacy. Graham was trying. He showed up more, cooked with her, asked questions about her mama's gumbo, her auntie's church hats, her grandma's humming. He sat with her in the nursery, reading Eloise's diary like scripture. He was learning, still unlearning, but for the first time, he was listening. Madeline, too, changed in small, sharp ways. She no longer offered compliments laced in thorns. She no longer flinched at the word black said out loud in her home. And one morning she came to Nia's door with trembling hands, holding an old locket. Inside it, a photo of Eloise on one side and a blank space on the other. "I thought maybe you could put a picture of your baby there," she whispered. Not an apology, but maybe a beginning. Nia took it. "Thank you," she said. Simple, steady. Later that day, workers came to the gate, removed the old family nameplate, Hadley Whitmore Estate, and replaced it with something new, Walker Whitmore House. The first name was hers. The legacy, restored, not stolen, not hidden, but honored. She stood beside Delilah as they unveiled it. Delilah smiled through her tears. "Eloise, somewhere dancing right now." Nia chuckled, belly full and glowing. She better be. 3 weeks later, baby girl arrived. Skin dark and soft as rich soil, eyes wide and curious, born into a name that had once been buried deep. They named her Eloise Nia Walker Whitmore, and on the day they brought her home, Nia carried her through that mansion like a queen, dignity draped on her shoulders like silk, power humming in every step. She passed the room where she first saw that portrait. It was still there, but next to it now, a second painting, commissioned by Nia, Eloise, sitting in a garden, sunlight on her face, a baby in her lap, no longer a ghost, but matriarch. So, baby, let me tell you this. They tried to write her out, tried to silence her story with pearls and policy, but a black woman's truth, it don't die in shame. It blooms in her daughters. It rises in her name. It carves itself into mansions, until even the walls have to whisper, she was here. If this story touched your heart like it touched mine, leave a word below. Aunt Grace is always here, with stories for souls that been through the fire and came out shining.